So always double checking that we are good to go. Let's see. The button says live, but I don't see us on the Facebook group quite yet. Let's get us in there.
Takes a while.
Let's get us in there. Takes a little bit of time. So, and there we go. Here we are, Tuesday topic. Let me just hit the record button because I always record these. All right. Welcome, folks, again. Tuesday topics. We're starting a little bit late today. Hopefully, you're watching this on the recording because we're a little bit late. My fault, my bad. Work gets in the way. But we're here. And we have a returning guest on the show this week. Returning guest, always welcome to be here. Florencia, Flor, welcome back. And for those of you who haven't seen, for other 3 times he's been on the show, Flor, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do at PowerISA and a little bit about your role?
Of course. So I am part of the onboarding team here with PowerISA. Pretty much take care of the interviews and get you started with your ISA.
Awesome. Just get the early part and the in progress part, right? You check in on people
for sure.
as they're carrying on, right? And one of the questions I get a lot, and I run our weekly coaching sessions with a lot of our clients, anywhere from 10 to 20 clients show up to those. A question I get almost every session, almost every single session, is a really basic one. How should I bonus my ISA, right? Because guess what, folks? ISAs are not in it just for the salary. That's not someone you want to have in that role. They should be motivated by those goals, okay? Meeting those goals, crushing those goals, and making some bonus money. That's the kind of person you want. It's motivated by that. And a big question people ask is, okay, they understand that, they get that, but how? That's the question they've got. How should I do it? How should I do that? And the most common, and Flo, tell me if this is what you've seen, when people kind of, the way they react to this, their initial thought is usually, well, I want to pay $5 per appointment, $10 per appointment, $50 per appointment. That's usually the way they want a bonus. It's the natural way. What do I want? I want appointments, attended appointments. So I'm going to bonus on that. And that's what I should get, right? And absolutely, I think they're on the right track. I don't think that's the right way to do it, though, right? And I kind of pay per appointment, or if you're doing outbound prospecting, pay per nurture. You're not going to get a bunch of appointments from calling a lot of these cold lists. You're going to get qualified sellers. We like to call them nurtures, right? It's usually one or the other. You're generating qualified sellers from a cold list, or you're calling some of these inbound opportunities and generating appointments. There's always some overlap. It's not perfectly a division, but that's usually where it goes. Your goal is either going to be attended appointments from inbounds, or it's going to be qualified sellers that you generated from calling, circle prospect, FISBO, expired, absentee, whatever it is, right? Qualified seller with motivation to sell, right? That's really what we're talking about. So, what have you seen out there? What do you typically see as a solution to this, right? Because we don't, as a company, we don't recommend pay per appointment or pay per nurture. Here's $5 for this, here's $10 there, like that. And I'll get into that, kind of what that means. But what do you typically see campaigns bonus on? What are those? Like roughly? What do those goals look like typically?
Yeah, of course. So what I mostly see is obviously appointments set and kept. So let's say a certain amount of appointments and you get a bonus of this amount of money. Of course, whatever you can afford. But the rate also depends a lot on the list, right? So
Sure.
for example, if it's Facebook ads, obviously it's going to be a little bit easier to hit those. So
Yep.
maybe 5 would be fair. And then circle prospecting, obviously you have to lower those. So I would say in circle prospecting, maybe 2 to 3 a week. Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, I think it's going to be in that range. And but you know what? This is a good example, right? We give ranges because it is very campaign specific. It is very campaign specific. And that's why we always tell our clients the first 30 days is when you're going to calibrate, test out that bonus structure. The first 30 days shouldn't have bonuses. Right? ISAs are typically just not going to meet those goals. They're just getting started. They should be focusing on training and learning and getting onboarded. That's the focus the first 30 days. And you should take that time to calibrate that bonus. And again, this can still happen, right? You said, I think, one of our testimonials from last week, Charles, they set a bonus and a goal, and then ISA blew right past it, right? They had to kind of reset,
Yeah.
like, oh, hold on,
Like,
hold on, it's
oh,
a little bit too much,
yeah.
right? So I had to kind of recalibrate that, and that's fair. That can happen. That can always happen. So we have a lot of recommendations on how to manage that conversation, but it depends. It depends, right? Are you calling brand new Facebook leads at scale? We have one of our clients, he's a coaching class last Thursday. He's generating 30 to 70 new inbound Facebook leads per day,
Oh man.
okay, per day. So the odds of that ISA getting 10, 15, right, appointments in a day that's not going to be that hard. It's not going to be that hard, right? It is very doable. On a really good day, you can get 10 appointments booked from 70, brand new inbound leads. You can easily do 3 to 5, if you're getting that many new leads every single day. That bonus structure is going to be very different than an ISA that does circle prospecting as their primary activity. Maybe throwing in some absentees, some expireds here and there, but spends 5 hours a day circle, hitting the phone, pounding the phone, boom, 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 generating those conversations, generating those qualified sellers. A really good day for them might be 1 or 2 qualified sellers, brand new qualified seller leads, 1 to 2 a day. That might be a really good day for them. So so this guy's doing, 25 to 50 appointments a week, right? And let's say that, half of those are kept, 25 kept appointments a week versus someone that's doing 5 to 10 nurtures per week, right? That's I would call those pretty good extreme, right? They're on the extremes. But here's the thing. Did they meet the goal? That's the question you have to ask. Make it simple. Let's simplify this, right? What's the goal, and did they meet that goal? Because if this person sets 10 appointments, that's great, but we generated 300 leads this week. So 10 appointments is just not even close to the goal they should be setting, right? It's not even close. If it's 300 leads, they should be in the 30 appointments, right? A week. Like that would be an average result, phone appointments, right? So 30 a week. So 10 didn't meet the goal, not even close, right? So they shouldn't get a bonus. Whereas circle prospecting guy, CP guy, he gets 5 qualified seller nurtures that week. Congratulations, you crushed that goal. Great.
Yeah.
Right. In some market, that's great. So both I'm glad you gave that range, because it depends.
And
Right?
we always do advice, like, once we, obviously after interviews, if you feel comfortable, you want to move forward with someone, we go over the offer details, and we always do advice, and we'll give examples of the offer details we've seen, or the bonus structures that we've seen. But yeah, I think having one for nurtures is good, really good. And definitely the appointment set and kept.
Yeah.
And
I,
obviously have it be fair. You can't
oh,
just do like,
that's
yeah, I want 10
exactly.
appointments or nurtures in with circle prospecting. Like, come on, it's not that
No,
easy.
not really. And that's why it's so important to talk to us about your
Mhm.
bonus ideas, your bonus goals. I did remember we had a client, actually, I take it back. This person did not become a client because they said, I want 10 appointments a day and I don't think it was circle prospecting, but it was another kind of outbound cold calling. We said, that's just not realistic. No,
Mhm.
and they insisted that was that was doable. I'm going, I don't even think they would be able to do that goal, right? Themselves consistently, impossible. And we couldn't move past that. So if someone does not have realistic expectations, right, forget about the bonus structure. Your bonus structure is going to be, so you'll want to have a bonus structure that your ISA can never meet. That is not motivating.
No.
It's probably quite the opposite, right? Like, oh no, here's my goal, my weekly. You're almost like you're laughing at it, right? Like, oh my God, this is just impossible to do, right? That you don't want that. You don't want that. That's also, you were talking about Charles Rosano having a very low goal, having an incredibly high goal that you meet 0% of the time, either means you've got the wrong ISA, that could be, or you
Mhm.
have a very unrealistic goal. But we're here to help. We're not. You don't have to solve this in a vacuum and like hope for the best and lose a great ISA because you were very unrealistic.
Definitely. And also it's like whatever, we will find a way, it's whatever they can afford, of course. We have agents that will start at 25, others will start at 50,
Yeah.
or
And
some are
that's
like,
25, and let's clarify that, $25 to $50 per week if they meet that goal, whatever that goal happens to be. And
right.
this is appropriate to your campaign and to your market, but that's the range. Usually 20 to $25 on the low end, probably $35 to $50 on the high end. It depends how much is that result worth to you, right? It's very different when you're talking about Manhattan, Kansas, which we've had campaigns there, and Newark, New Jersey, we have campaigns there, right? Or San Diego, California, Rancho Cucamonga, Rancho something in San Diego, all the ranchos in San Diego. They're worth very different. Those
Mhm.
appointments are worth very different. In San Diego County, it's $1 million buyer minimum in San Diego County, whereas in Manhattan, Kansas, it's a quarter of that, maybe less than a quarter of that, right? One of our clients in Oklahoma, Brett Boone out of Oklahoma, his median price there is $200,000, right? For a single family home in some parts of his city. So it depends how much this is worth. And that's important to
Yeah.
understand. And that can be tough to understand sometimes. That's what we're here to explain to the ISAs, to the clients, et cetera, that it depends on kind of all of those things, right? So yeah, absolutely. Whatever is in their budget and it's comfortable for them, they got to do it. But you have to have a goal, number one, right?
Yeah.
And you have to have a bonus structure behind that goal, right?
Plus, a lot of our ISAs come with that sales experience. You know that in sales, the number one thing is, okay, so what are the bonuses? Is there commissions? And so they're more
What are their
excited
first
about
questions?
that instead of base pay, because that really, gets them going like, oh, I'm gonna hit this, I can win this. So it's like, the opportunity is in their hands.
100%. And you want someone in that role that is
Mhm.
motivated by that is
Oh, for
gonna
sure.
want to push themselves, that is gonna want to, and they're asking, what's the bonus structure, right? Like base salary is great. What's the bonus structure? Because they expect to make a good chunk of their compensation should be bonus. A good chunk of the compensation absolutely should be bonus. And I'm talking about 25 to 30, 50% of their compensation should be bonus, because the best salespeople want that. They want a big bonus structure because they want to shoot for it. They want to crush it. They want to dominate that. And I think that's a really good sign. I think that's in general, I think it's a good sign. If people are kind of like, they want that a little bit of competitiveness, and they listen and they grow and they get information on how to achieve it, right? Not just going at it to go at it with no plan, no feedback, no coaching. No. They take all the tools they have and they apply themselves to crush that bonus. That's the best. For me, that's the best.
Yeah, of course. And you could also like keep in mind, you could start it as something very basic, very, um, I don't know. And then maybe once you see them performing, you could, change the bonus structure. Obviously.
Such a good point. Such a
Mhm.
good point, Valencia, because this evolves. This is not
Yeah.
like, you're not like writing it in a tablet like the 10 Commandments. Absolutely not. And in our Build Your ISA course, I should go into a lot of detail saying the first thing you should tell your ISA about the bonus structure is that we're going to be learning what the bonus structure is. We're going to try a few things, right? And you should always be willing to try new things for a month or two. Like try them out and realize, did this work or not, right? Because any bonus structure, Flor, has to be win-win, right? It has to be
Definitely.
win-win. Because, if ISAs never make any bonuses, that's not fair to them. And if the team, the agent, pays out a ton of money in bonuses and they don't get any closings, any results from that, you don't want that either. Like both are bad situations. Both are bad situations. But it has to be, win-win, and it changes. So I started this talk by saying we don't recommend like pay for appointment. One of our clients joined our coaching call a few weeks ago. They've been with their ISA, I'd say more than 6 months. So it's been going great. It's been
Oh,
going
okay.
awesome. And they figured out a way, because in there, and I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but it was something about, there was a specific kind of list they would call, right? And I forget if it was like for sale by owner or expired. It was a little bit harder list. It didn't have many numbers on it, not that many available. And they said if they got met appointments from that list, they would bonus above and beyond their other goals, right? It is a pay for appointment structure. Exactly what we don't recommend. But there was a relationship with that ISA. There's an
Okay.
existing bonus structure with that ISA. This is above and beyond that, right?
Mhm.
Like if they go, if you really want to make some more extra cash, then here's an additional list, a new one,
Mhm.
harder one, not as easy as the other ones, right? A little bit harder, a little more work. You get us attended appointments from this, and we're going to pay per appointment. We're going to pay per appointment set, right? Because they were that valuable to them. It was that valuable to them. So there's always exceptions. I agree. There's always something you can change, something you can try out. That's true. But I always tell folks, right? The details matter. And in that example, there was a prior relationship, there was a lot of confidence, and they knew that even if that bonus structure didn't work out, they had something to fall back on. So it wasn't all or nothing, right? So I like that part of it. But in practice, they did something we don't recommend. Pay per appointment. And for them, it was working out because it was on top of everything else, and they loved that. Perfect. Great. Go for it. There's always those kind of different examples of people doing something a little bit different, right? But you're right. It can evolve. The market changes, right?
Yeah.
The real estate market is different now than it was a year ago. The market is different now, like completely, okay? So it makes sense that the bonus structure can change. If the market completely changes, the goals change, and I think it's fair to put the bonus structure, to revise it, review it, make sure it's still working, make sure it's still a win-win. Make sure it's still a win-win.
Yeah. But yeah, that is one of the most important things. Like, I think all ISAs, that's the number one thing they look out for. So I think it's good to, have this in mind, especially when you're, doing the interviews. Just, think of a weekly bonus structure that will be good for both teams, right?
Yeah,
ISA
100%.
and for the agent.
How about biggest bonus mistakes or pitfalls? I'll start. Well, man, I've already mentioned like 3 times, but it is going with pay per appointment from the get-go, from the start, right? Because I've always felt that if you pay for appointment and someone gets one appointment all week or one nurture all week, that you're telling them great job. And I'm not so sure that's the right message they should receive, actually. I don't think so, right? They should get a bonus if they put in the work Monday through Friday, all day, every day, right? That's what I feel. And having a weekly goal is a better way to do that. Not the only way, it's a better way. So my pitfall is going with pay for appointment, pay per nurture, like too early, and you might end up fostering some bad behavior inadvertently, like without intending that. You might get you might be incentivizing the wrong kind of behavior, in my opinion. So Flor, any pitfalls, any mistakes you've seen when it comes to bonus structures?
Honestly, the one that I see a lot is the unreachable bonus structure.
There we go.
That one's a big
There we
one,
go.
because we'll advise, like, it's circle prospecting. You can't expect like 5 to 10 appointments set and kept. Like, that's way too
Not
much.
realistic. Not realistic
And
at
they'll be
all.
like, oh, well, we'll just see how it works out. And it's like, okay, but it
Exactly.
might not work out. Most likely
Yeah.
won't. But
And,
yeah, I
and,
think
and we're
that
and
one's a
we're
big
here
one.
and we're here to advise, right? We're here to tell folks, hey folks, this is what works. You want something that works, try this, or keep it in this range. There's always you gotta test. You always have to test a little bit, but don't go 10 times. Don't start with 10 times the expected result and something that's just unreal. That's a really good one. I've got another one. It
Okay.
is, and this is a big one, not paying those bonuses in a timely manner. Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah, that's a big
Not
one.
paying them, like taking too long to calculate them, taking too long to pay them, folks. That might be another sign your bonus structure is too complicated. So let's say you're calling from this week, Monday through Friday, you make the goal or don't make the goal, it should be paid out the next pay period, the immediate next pay period after the weekends, the immediate pay period after that, right? If you're not able to do that, simplify your bonus. You're doing something. I feel you're doing something wrong, because even the more complex teams, larger teams, agents get paid within 24 hours. And and how complicated do you think that transaction is? It's a lot of work, right? I think ISAs being paid by the next pay period after the date is done. I think that's a very reasonable goal. And I've seen even some ISAs, we've done this too on certain projects. We had monthly goals, right? On certain projects, on our pay per lead projects, other kind of projects, smaller scale projects, we've done monthly bonuses, right? Because the project lent itself to a monthly bonus, and we pay those out next pay period. Didn't matter. You can't wait another month to pay that, right? No, calculate it, boom, you're done. Pay the next pay period. So that's a self goal. That's a self own. If you're doing this, putting all this work in the structure and the goal, I just crushing it, and then like, oops, I forgot. I'll do it next pay period. I promise. Oh my God. Yeah, don't do that, right?
Yeah, that just motivates them 100%. Also, I do want to mention, I think it's very important to be very clear on your expectations of the appointments, because for everyone's a little different. So
Yes.
explain to them what is a good qualified appointment to you, what you expect from if it's a nurture or if it's a, um, an appointment at the property, like, what do you expect?
Yeah, 100%. This is it gets into the whole ISA to agent handoff. It's a
Uh-huh.
treacherous path. It's a treacherous, a lot of things go wrong in that handoff, but it is so important to have that conversation and not just have the conversation, Flor, but for me, the first month or two, anytime my ISA hands off something to me, I'm grabbing that, I'm working it, and then I'm giving them feedback, whether it's good or bad. I'm telling them, you know what, this is great
Yeah.
because of this, this, and this. And this did not meet the bar because this, and this. But be clear, right? Be clear and
From the yeah,
understand
to have
that.
everything on the table, everything, yeah, because so there's no confusion because I think it's not very common, but there is those cases where it's like, oh, I don't think he understands what this means. I mean, we do explain it, but it's always good to, to go over it again.
100%.
Mhm.
And it's that training expectation. You are going to be
Yeah.
repeating yourself in the training for sure, absolutely. But that handoff is hard, is not easy. So it does take a lot of practice to get it right. And here's another thing, right? It depends a lot on the agent as well. The agent might have a certain expectation, so the ISA has to get used to that and have to understand that. I'll give you a great example. Some of our clients, Kent Brown out of Salt Lake City comes to mind. He comes to mind because he said he would tell his ISA, and his ISA was calling expired, absentee, canceled, withdrawn. That was his main source of business. He said all he wanted from the ISA was a seller that said they were still willing to sell for the right offer. That's all he
Mhm.
wanted them to do. He didn't even want them to book a follow-up call. He didn't, because he
Okay.
knew that was very unreliable, like booking a call with an expired, you can't wait that, you can't wait. He would just, all he wanted to do, like the true definition of hand raiser, if that seller, and he had a script for this, obviously, are they still interested in selling? If they could get the money they expected, would they still sell? If they got a solid offer, would they still sell in this market?
And
That
that
was
was
the
it.
key question he wanted his ISA to answer. And if the answer to that was yes, he wanted to hand it off to him because he knew what to do after that. He
Mhm.
did not, he didn't want the ISA to set the appointment, to set the listing appointment, to sell them on why such a good agent to list their home. He didn't care about that. He did not want it.
Yeah.
All he needed was a motivated seller to talk to. That's all, or at least a curious seller to talk to. Some seller that had some curiosity about selling. That's all he wanted. And he wanted 2, 3, 4, 5 of those a day, right? And there are other agents, right,
Yeah.
that want more qualification, right? They say, hey,
Yeah.
are you still just in selling? And are you willing to talk to my agent about what he can do to sell your home? That's Calvin, a great a client of ours out of Chattanooga, killing it, 23 FISBO from his ISA in the first year. But he had a higher bar. This is a for sale by owner too, different list. Had a higher
Mhm.
bar. Said not just willing to sell, because FISBO, every FISBO obviously wants to sell, but are you ready to talk to an agent to see what Calvin can do to get your home sold? It sounds subtle. It's a big difference, though. It's a big
It
difference
is.
between I just want to sell no matter what, and then I'm willing to sell and I'm willing to hear out what Calvin has to say. Very,
I've
very
also,
different.
yes, and I've also heard some where it's like they want the ISA to just them do all the work until the lead says, I'm ready. I'm
Come
ready.
list
Like,
me.
yeah,
Come list
like
me.
so they want the ISA to follow up, follow up, follow up, until they say, you know what, I'm ready, let's meet. And or things like
Absolutely.
that. So yeah, it's different.
It's about like you said, it's about making that expectation clear. Make it, and
Mhm.
I always like to chime in and give my feedback on whether that expectation is realistic or not, right? Because the
Yeah.
agent might not know. You might not know, and we don't want them to fail. We want them to succeed. So we got to maybe help calibrate that expectation. Having the ISA follow up until the lead is ready to come list me, I go, okay, what are they calling? What's a reasonable time frame? What's the script? I would like to know more about that because that on the surface seems like it might be an unrealistic expectation, depending on what
Mhm.
we're talking about. Having the ISA hand off when they're a qualified seller lead and handing it off to the agent is my preferred way of doing cold calling, for example, right? Doing
Mhm.
cold calling, even if it's expired and for sale by owner. Even if it's expired and for sale by owner, the ISA shakes the tree, finds the low-hanging fruit, hands them off to the agent as soon as possible. They're
Mhm.
generating leads for them. They're generating leads for them. Even if they're calling some of the highest converting leads out there, which are expired, withdrawn for sale by owner. They're generating leads so the agent can have that conversation. But the agent didn't have to make 200 calls. to get that 1 or 2 people. They saved a lot of time. It's very efficient for them to do that.
Oh
They
yeah.
just focus on those qualified seller leads every day.
Or yeah, also the people, the clients that do come in that have done the calling themselves. I mean, they can guide themselves with just that, the way that, what they get on the phone and stuff. So that helps
Yeah.
too.
100%. And it's just about, setting down and making sure they're speaking the same language. And they're like, for example, on the buyer side, if they're not looking for if they're looking below a certain price point, some agents don't want to work with buyers, right? If they don't have a home to sell, right? If it's a true buyer,
Yeah.
like a true buyer,
Mhm.
if they're not looking above a certain price point, they don't want to talk to the person, right?
Mhm.
And there's always some nuance to that, Flor. There's always some nuance because that's what they're telling the ISA. Who knows what their real budget is? I always
Yeah.
tell people that, you know what? I don't know, right? I mean, maybe you should have the conversation first and you decide if that person is qualified or not. But a lot of agents are very clear. If they're not looking in this, not even looking in this price range and not willing to look up or move to that price range,
Then
that's
I
not
don't
something
want
they want
it.
to talk to.
Yeah.
Again, it's a very clear expectation. I like the clarity. Okay, that's what they want. This is the minimum they're going to work with. If they're unwilling, unable to move up, this is not the market for them.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no, it's a good one. So, I mean, I love it. Those bonus pitfalls. I mean, those are the ones that I had. I don't know if you have any other bonus pitfalls, but I mean,
I can't.
there's definitely some bonus. There's some pitfalls there.
Yeah, I think those are the main ones, to be honest, because
Yeah,
not no other cross my mind right
that's
now.
true. Because setting the bonus too low is not a common mistake, actually. It's setting it
No,
too
it's
high
not.
is usually it.
Yeah.
Setting it, having the
Mhm.
risk, that's usually it. Not paying them on time and then going with the wrong bonus structure too soon, right? Kind of messing it up.
Yeah.
Oh, here's another one. I thought of it. There we go. Thought of it. And this is where it gets subjective, folks. This is the
Okay.
nuance, right? This is why it's important to look at it case by case. But you can also fall into the problem of changing the bonus structure too frequently, like every week,
Oh,
right?
that one's a rare one, but yes.
It can happen, and it also can happen because they might be calling different lists too, right? So that can happen just because they're calling different kinds of lists. So my recommendation there is like, it's use those first 30 days to test it out, see where you want to be, like take advantage of that, which means getting them on the phone right away. So important to do that. But you don't want to be in a situation where every week they got a different goal. That, or especially, if they're still in their second month, third month, like that can be confusing, can be a little frustrating, right? Talk to us. We would love to hear the situation, why there's so much instability, and we might be able to help. But switching it too often, changing it too often, you get a certain amount of goodwill from the team. That goodwill can run out, right? If you're not careful with those kinds of things, especially, and here's the biggest point I want to make: the team doesn't perceive it as a win-win. That's the game. Anytime you have a bonus structure, it has to be a win-win for both, the team and the ISA, the team and the team member. I think it has to be a win-win. If you're changing things too much and you're only changing them in one direction, that can be a problem. You're not going to get the behavior that you want.
Actually, that reminds me of, I've had like a couple cases where it's like they're on their second ISA because the first one didn't work out. And so they changed the bonus structure to being a little harder to get. And they always end up going back to the first one. So yeah.
Got it.
Mhm.
They feel that the bonus structure maybe had something to do with them, their first ISA not making it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I think I lost you for a second.
Oh, there you go. I'm back.
Okay, but yeah, that's I've seen a couple cases like that.
I got you. So first ISA doesn't work out. They have a second ISA. They bump up the goal, make it more competitive. And they don't, and they might get a great person, but
Or
they're just not making that goal.
yeah, or even just making it like unreachable. They're just like, no, I'm gonna change the bonus structure, and it's unreachable, and it kind of dismotivates the ISA. And yeah, there's
Yeah,
little things like that.
absolutely. And these are issues that affect any and every sales team known to man, by the way. The issue of bonuses and sales teams, how to manage them, this is anyone that manages salespeople has to deal with this. Sales management thing, right? So 100%. Here's people want to get into. There's a really good book, Sales Management Simplified. Actually goes into a lot of these topics, by the way, right? So 100%. So Mike Weinberg. Okay, I guess people want to take the deep dive into this topic of how to manage like bonus structures, compensation, that kind of thing. So, yeah, 100%. I recommend, if people want to take, a little bit more research into it. That's a great book, and it says exactly what we're talking about right now. So you've already skipped it. You don't have to read the whole book, but it's still a good book. So Flor, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Thank you for jumping on here again. Another great Tuesday topic on a really interesting topic, a really, really, really good one.
An important
which
one
is the
for
bonus.
sure.
Very important one. Very important one. And
Yeah.
one where, it's always better to ask questions. Always better. Never. It's one of those topics where you never want to be left kind of scratching your head. You don't have to, right? When you're working
No.
with us, we help you out here. We help you out, put a good structure in place, a good ISA, a good compensation structure, and a good lead gen system. All of those things click and you get great results.
Definitely. I like that everybody's going to find support in us. We're obviously always going to guide everyone the right way. Our clients are very important to us. So
Yeah, absolutely. And we want you guys to win. We want you guys to win.
yes,
We don't
we
want to
love
bother
those.
anybody. Don't want to pester people. It's only because it's coming from love. We want you to win. We want you
Yeah.
to win. That's why we make these suggestions. That's why we're trying to nudge you in the right direction. Ultimately, the clients run their business. They own their business. They decide, right? They're the boss. But we always want to make sure they're pointing in the right direction because we've seen it so many times. We've seen it so many times.
Yeah, we love those success stories. So we
want
definitely
more.
want to be able to help. Yep.
Want more of those. 100%. Love it. Flor, thank you so much and see you here on the next one.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye, everybody.